What's up, y'all? Welcome to episode 9 of the All Net Podcast. It's great to be back yet again to speak about the league that I love more than any other league, and that is the NBA, and I have the pleasure of doing so with my incomparable co-host, Mr. Shy Native, Mr. El Presidente, Mr. Get Familiar, the Lusty Leo, I don't forget the .deal. What up, sir?
Hello, everybody out there in podcast land tuning in and checking out the latest installment of the All Net Podcast featuring myself, I.Deal, and Mike Logik, and brought to you in sponsorship with True Chicago Sports Fans and Shy Native Entertainment.
Episode 9, it feels good to say that, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to have a special guest, but he's going to talk with us for the duration of the show, so I guess that makes him a special guest co-host as well. And he is Race Bannon. Race, what's up?
What's happening? What's going on, man?
Well,
Glad to be here.
Yes. Thank you for joining myself and I.Deal. Let the people out there know a little bit about Race Bannon, where they can find you, what you be doing, what's going on with Race.
All right, well, I'm Race Bannon, a.k.a. Redtacular. I'm a third of Prime Meridian, COO of Super Sound record label, man, MC in the Chicagoland area.
Veteran MC. Been doing it for a while,
Thank you.
right?
I appreciate that. Yeah, a while, man, a while. You know, some of the kids you see out here now rhyming, you know, me and Simeon, who's the other half of Prime Meridian, have mentored them. So, yeah, we've been out here for a while. We got rap seeds out here.
Yeah, man, I appreciate what you do, and this is what we like to do at the All Net Podcast, keep hip-hop and basketball intertwined, so it's a lot of fun having you on here. So we're going to talk about the finals, of course, which we could probably sum up in a couple of words, right?
Yeah, no Bam, it's over.
No Bam Bam. And no.
Do you think Bam was the bigger loss? Because to me, I think it was Dragic. Because,
No, well, both is a big loss, right? Because they both about 20 points a game.
Yeah.
But Bam is a bigger loss because that was your rim protection.
True.
So on the defensive side, you lost pretty much everything. Bam is like a poor man's Anthony Davis. You know, they both came from Kentucky. They both long, right? And can guard on the perimeter and get back to the basket quick because they long, fast, and athletic.
And it's crazy you lost your best rim defender, like you're saying, but he was, what is he, like 6'8", 6'9", all of that? So you already lost size that you didn't have.
He's bigger than you think he is.
Yeah, I think he's about 6'10".
Yeah, so do I.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, offensively, Miami didn't lose much, right? Picking up Kelly Olynyk, but they lost a lot. When you looked at that game, they lost a lot under the rim.
All Kelly Olynyk is giving them is offense. That's it. That man bun is giving them shots, perimeter shots. That's it.
He's like I said, they didn't lose. You know, he's about 80% of what Bam was on the offensive end, but he is nowhere near Bam was on the defensive end.
Yeah, he can't move his feet to save his life on defense.
Couldn't guard a chair.
No. And he's just not, you know, he's not going to stop anybody at the rim. I don't think he has the bounce that Bam had.
Oh, yeah, obviously. You see him, you're like, all right, come meet me at the summit, but you're going to get dropped off a floor early.
Yeah, so that's what I would say about the finals. You know, Miami had, I think, better team chemistry, but the Lakers overall, they just got, you know, they superstars. They more talented at that. You know, you got LeBron, who's arguably one of the greatest players of this generation, and, you know, of all time. And then, you know, you got AD, he's an elite player, you know, and he's proven himself time and time again, and he finally got to do it on one of the biggest stages that you can.
Yeah, so Dragic is out with the torn plantar fascia he suffered at the end of game 1 or somewhere in game 1, and Bam has the neck strain. And just like you guys were talking about, with no Bam, I think AD was going to do whatever he wanted anyways, but Bam could at least slow him down. AD, I'm expecting...
Make it difficult.
Yeah.
Make him work hard. You know, he's not even working hard now.
No. He had 30 going into the fourth last game. It took him to the end of the fourth to get his 32nd point, and I put money down that he would score 30 and a half. So I was sweating. I'm like, come on, man, you have 30 going into the fourth, please. And he didn't score his 32nd point until like 3 minutes left in the fourth. But either way, with no Bam, the Heat don't have a shot. And what I was gonna say is, I'll take my chances with 2 top 5 players and serviceable role players over good team chemistry. As far as,
I mean, I can see that. I definitely would too. I think Miami just has a good culture there, kind of like
yeah, they do.
Kind of like Golden State. I think Golden State also has like a good culture as far as team culture. And if you're not like a hard worker, you're not gonna last there long. I mean, look at D'Angelo Russell. I think that's why they got rid of him. It's like you're more in awe of who Steph is, but you're not ready to like work like that.
So you guys remember the Heat liked implementing that zone against the Celtics because it was working for them. When they would drop into that zone, it's not working now that they don't have a rim protector and Bam. They have AD and LeBron just camping out by the baseline. They can't do anything to stop these dudes.
No, I mean that's all AD does. He just runs down to the block.
And then
that's all he has to do.
And then people were worried about, well, what are they going to do about Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero? Okay, first game, Duncan Robinson doesn't even score a basket. So you don't have to worry about Duncan Robinson. He'll get maybe 5 looks at the basket with the way the defense plays him.
My thoughts have always been, you don't need to worry about anyone that can't really create their own shot. And
right.
Duncan can't do that.
Yeah, he can't. Tyler Hero is more. I would be more worried about him than Duncan Robinson.
I remember having a conversation with someone like, yeah, I'm not really too worried. Where I said I'm not too worried about Tyler Hero. I think the Lakers have defenders that can help slow him down. And then someone was telling me, but look, he cooked an all NBA defensive player in Marcus Smart.
That was me.
Oh, that was you. Okay,
That was me. That was me. He did.
Oh, for sure. Tyler Hero can ball, and Tyler Hero's going to get his baskets. They're just not going to have as much impact as it did in the last series, as far as how it's going right now.
And, you've been going, you cook Marcus Smart, but for the majority of it, you've really been going against the second team, right? Because you're coming off the bench. Now you've been pushed into a bigger role. And the stage is a little bigger now.
And you think about it.
To be Dragic.
You think about it though. He was closing out games, so it wasn't like he was going against the second string. It's just, I think in this series, and we go back to like when Derrick Rose was playing. When someone starts cooking against whatever team LeBron's on, guess what you just earned? You earned LeBron guarding you.
Right.
And a lot of people, they don't want that.
And look, even if LeBron's not staying in front of you, you have to worry about him coming up from behind and blocking your shot.
And you got to worry about AD.
For sure.
Coming out of anywhere. Like, AD can block your shot from the bench. This man can cover a lot of ground quickly.
So is this series over? Are the Heat going to even win a game? You think Race?
If Bam plays, I think they can at least get one.
He's doubtful for game 3.
But if Bam does not play, it's over. I would be surprised if they even won one game without Bam.
Now, was this the most impressive or the least impressive of the Kang's rings? Then we're assuming he's going to earn this 4th, but is it more impressive given the fact of what they had to contend with the bubble, or do you look at it the other way, like, man, he really got lucky? You're facing a Heat team which they don't got no superstars. You didn't even have to face the Clippers. What says you on that?
They probably were going to run through the Clippers anyway, because the Clippers definitely have no chemistry whatsoever. You got a Chihuahua and Patrick Beverly. No disrespect to Marcus Finest, Mr. 94 feet, who's like, a full court press, but on the offensive end, you're offensively inept.
Mm-hmm.
No one's worried about you. PG, you play exactly like that. PG. You're not even PG-13. You play just PG. Like, you need a little more dog in you. And Kawhi not being vocal is not working when they need you to be a leader on the floor.
Yeah,
the quiet thing is just kind of you got to be a leader.
Yeah, I mean, they always say there's certain guys that can lead by example, but you still need someone. It might not be your most talented player, but someone has to at some point step up and vocalize the exact emotions and the expectations that we have in the locker room as a team. And if you don't have that person, it's just gonna be chaos. No, yeah, definitely, because you can't be a player who's not contributing at a high level and telling everybody this is what we need to do, because they just turn around and look at you and be like, shut up, you ain't even doing nothing out here.
Right. So, and I think, it's a good transition. I think Doc is a great players coach. I don't know how good he is at X's and O's.
Yeah, we'll get into that a little later.
And gelling a team. But yeah. So,
Rondo's 3-point shooting. Do the Heat have to respect it now? Are you surprised by it?
So this goes back to what you were talking about with the bubble, right? And the Lakers, is this? I think it's probably low on LeBron's list of rings, right? Because it's kind of like the asterisk 50-game season with the Spurs. That's how everybody's going to look at it. But at the same time, the bubble takes away the 12th man. So there's no advantage there. Like, I looked at that Toronto series, and I wondered if Toronto would have lost if they had home court advantage or played some of those games at home, right? Without it, you got like a 3-point game that the crowd maybe being there, the noise and the energy could maybe shift things, and that 3 points could shift a different way. Without it, and you're in the bubble, and you're just in there with your peers and people that kind of know your deficiencies, everything, then there it is,
You're talking about the Anunoby 3-point shot at the end of the game, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think also that's what helped Rondo hit that 3-pointer, because Rondo has never shot like that.
Yeah, he's only hitting that because, like you said, there's no fans in the stands, and it's the same thing that goes back to the. I always contend that the fact that the Clippers, had this been a regular quote unquote normal playoffs, and they had to travel for Game 7 from Denver to go back to LA, and then they had to play in the Staples Centers, I felt like that Game 7 would have been a completely different outcome.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, so it's just, it's just one of those years where Rondo's hitting threes for some reason because there's nobody in the stands.
Because he works hard at it.
No, it just really has to do with there's nobody in there to like really ride you and get on you. And, some guys are more comfortable in those, like, it's like a role player. Sometimes a role player is going to shrivel up and wither away because of the crowd and everything, but there's nobody there. So, they're just out there running and gunning and shooting it up.
It's kind of like that. Like
AAU?
NCAA, AAU circuit, exactly. Which is why I think Tyler Hero excels, because he's coming right off that and he's used to it.
Is he going to be a perennial all-star player in your opinion?
I mean, the ceiling is high.
Yeah, he's exciting to watch.
High. And he's in a good system. And
he's in a great organization. Yep.
So all
right, look in your
crystal. Pat Riley and Spoelstra and Jimmy Butler is like his best friend.
I want you to look in your crystal ball really quick. Who has the better career, Kobe White or Tyler Hero?
That's a good question.
For our sake, I want to say Kobe White.
Please, let it be Kobe White.
The Chicago in me wants to say Kobe White. And I like Kobe White.
For sure.
But, again, Chicago and the coaching, the organization, I just don't know if they do great at developing players.
Well, we're hoping this new regime does. We're keeping an open mind.
Yeah, I'm hoping Billy Donovan is something out of these players.
Did you like the move, the hire?
No.
Why? Just curious.
I just feel like it's a lot of the same with the Bulls.
The
right?
reheating?
Yeah, they just never seem to, like, take a chance.
Well, they took a chance on Fred Hoiberg. That didn't work out, and Jim Boylan, but they didn't take...
I don't know if that was a chance. I see, that's what I mean. I feel like those are just, like, easy lateral moves. You know, like, I think the NBA needs a new coaching injection. And it seems to be that the direction is player coach, because players seem to react to former players in a positive manner. That, you know, they can take the criticism, they can take the yelling from a former player because they know that you understand what they're going through on the court. I mean, I look at Udonis Haslem, you know, even though he's not a coach, you
could fool me. You could fool me that he's not part of that coaching staff. He doesn't come off that bench.
You look at Chris Paul. I mean, I know he's on the floor, but even when OKC was in the playoffs, you could tell in that huddle, Chris Paul was kind of coaching.
Yeah.
I would have rather the Bulls went and got Chris Paul and talked him into retiring to coach.
He's 35. I think he's going to play till he's 30, 38, 39. He doesn't seem like he wants to come off the court. I'd be really excited about watching Rajon Rondo coach.
Ditto. Right? I think guys like that are, you know, what we need to start seeing as far as coaching. You know,
that brings me to our next point, and this is a great segue, because this is why I really wanted to bring you on the show, because I thought you had some great ideas and insight on this. So I want to talk about the head coaching situation in Brooklyn and what's going on there. So
okay, go ahead.
So Steve Nash was hired as the Brooklyn Nets head coach, as we know. I thought personally Jacques Vaughn did a good enough job to be considered for that job. Now they were able to retain him as assistant coach, and they have these two big stars who have yet to take the court together, and we don't know what that's going to look like. But they've been pretty vocal about the coaching situation recently. So Kevin Durant, he launched his new podcast, because everybody does a podcast nowadays, right? It's called The Etcetras. And his first guest was his backcourt mate Kyrie Irving, and they talked about the coaching situation and went a little something like this. This is a quote from Kyrie. I don't really see us having a head coach. KD could be a head coach. I could be a head coach some days. And then KD added, Jacques Vaughn could be a head coach. He could do it one day. It's a collaborative effort. You just hired a head coach, a first-time head coach, which some would say he skipped the line. But now you're just cutting the legs out from underneath him before he even gets off the ground. You've taken away the title of head coach from Steve Nash. But you don't agree with that, right?
Let me say this before I even talk on this. Let's just say that Kyrie talks out his ass. I'm sorry.
Round of applause.
With that being said, though, I kind of get where he's coming from. I think that, again, like I was saying, with the new style of play and the way players are now, they're taking control of their career through free agency and all of these things. I do think that coaching has moved, or should kind of move, into a collaborative effort. When you brought that up, the great point the reason why I went that way is, and I shared it on that thread, was there's a video online of Gilbert Arenas. Mm-hmm. And he's talking about when he first got to the Wizards, Eddie George was the coach. He said he had come from high school and college, and they have been doing a lot of like 4-low for him. You know what I'm saying? Put everybody on the baseline, give him space, let him create, cook somebody one-on-one, double team come, now I kick it to the open person, right? Mm-hmm. It worked for him because of his skill level and the skill that he has and the talent and his style of play. When he got to the Wizards, they were doing the Princeton. 5 out, weave at the top.
Yep.
It wasn't really working for him. He didn't understand it. And he felt like it didn't work to his skill set. So he talked to Eddie Jordan, man, let me see your playbook. I'd like to look at what's going on in your playbook. They sat down. He went through the playbook. He said, from looking at the playbook, I started to understand the Princeton offense. And then I also found some other plays in there of his that I was like, hey, this could work for me. And he started circling stuff. He gave it back to Eddie Jordan. And Eddie Jordan said, oh, cool. And he implemented it into the offense. Gilbert Arenas became a 3-time NBA All-Star.
Okay, does that speak to the fact that Eddie Jordan might not be a really good head coach?
Well, it could speak to that, but it also could speak to being open enough as a coach to collaborate with your players for the greater good, which is winning.
No, I
think that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think that's what Kyrie was kind of speaking to, but the way he said it, you know.
Oh no, there's more. There's more.
Of course, there's always gonna be more with him.
So,
and then, you know, the two of them too are just, as far as I think the perception of them, especially when they speak, is kind of like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, so KD goes on to say, I think a lot of people may question our leadership overall, or just us too. Well, yeah, we definitely question your leadership. You haven't really been leaders of your team. I never saw KD as the leader of the Golden State Warriors. I saw Russ as the leader of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Kyrie, he was the first overall pick when he got to Cleveland. He was kind of just inserted into that leadership role. It was kind of inherited. It wasn't really earned.
You talking about when he first got to Cleveland?
Yeah, I'm saying he's not. And then when he was supposed to be the leader of, when he was supposed to. Oh, go ahead. Speak on that.
Because remember, him and Deion Waiters were getting into it. Remember, Deion Waiters was there, and Deion Waiters thought he was the guy.
Well, he was definitely not the guy.
They got into it over who was the guy there, and that's why Deion Waiters got shipped out.
That was a good move on their part. I'll agree with that.
That was a great move on their part. I would have chose Kyrie over Deion Waiters. Regardless of how crazy he's talking.
And sadly, Kyrie and Deion Waiters are about to have the same number of championships. Sadly, but back to this.
Deion won't be able to lean on that he hit a game winner, or lean on the fact that after he won a championship, he went and won a gold medal.
Yeah,
which only a short list of people have done.
Kyrie he's an exceptional player, but like you said, he talks out of his ass. Here's another thing that I think KD said this. I think having Steve here and collaborating with our floor general every day is only going to yield good results for our scorers like myself and Torian, Karras, and Spencer. Them having that relationship, I think, is going to be key for us going forward. Kyrie says Steve coming in at this moment and them following up with great coaching core was going to make us more successful. Do you see this thing where they keep calling him Steve? Steve this, Steve that? Did the Bulls players players ever call Tom Thibodeau? Yeah, I think Tom's going to do... No, they called him Tibbs. Eric Spoelstra, Spo. Greg Popovich, Pop. Steve's like, yo, I go to the bar with this guy Steve. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't seem like he's gonna have a very authoritative position.
It does sound like they're more buddies than he's the authority, right? I get that, but you also gotta. I think KD has a little more insight on Steve Nash
definitely
than everybody, because he was a offensive consultant with Golden State while KD was there. That's how the relationship even got established.
Yeah, Kyrie doesn't really know him that well. He knows him just a little bit.
Kyrie doesn't know him that well, right? Not like KD does. And I think KD probably saw some things with him and Steph and what he was doing and was like, no, you could benefit from this. Steve Nash, when Amari Stoudemire left from playing with Steve Nash, what was Amari Stoudemire like? Steve Nash knows how to make players better from the point guard position.
Definitely.
So I do see it being a good choice. And I think low-key, and this is just my personal opinion, I think that was part of Kevin Durant's thing. Like, if I can get him in and get him to have a good relationship with Kyrie, everything will work out for him.
Yeah, they both co-signed that for sure. So I got two more quotes from Kyrie. One I don't really like, the other I like. We always heard and saw how great Nash was as a player, but also when you get to know him as a person, you understand why he can coexist with us. We don't need someone to come in there with their coaching philosophy and change everything we're doing. What are they doing? What are they?
Well, I think so. These guys got high basketball IQ, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
So I think they know that they can just run certain things on the floor and it will work.
But you also have a coaching staff sitting on the bench that can see the game going on, and they could be discussing amongst themselves why KD and Kyrie are out there, how we're going to make adjustments here, how we're going to make adjustments there, so they can play basketball.
And I think they will, and I think they'll respect that coming from Steve Nash because they know his mind. But I don't think, I'm saying is they don't want someone that's going to come in like Phil Jackson did with the triangle and the bull and just switch up the whole philosophy on it.
It worked for Phil. Yeah,
it did work for Phil. It did work for Phil.
11 championships later.
It did work for Phil. It did. But I just think that's what he's saying. Will it work? Who knows? Because I like how you prep the whole thing. They have yet to hit the floor. So
yeah, I don't see this thing working. They're already. I think it's going to be dysfunctional.
And they're talking about getting Paul George.
The organization itself has been dysfunctional for a while. It's just from top to bottom. And if he's already making comments like this, I just see this at some point.
I don't know, man. They made it to the playoffs.
Yeah. I like their young core a whole lot, Race. I like their.
And Mike is ready to trade all of that young core away just to get Paul George on there.
No. You don't need Paul George.
But if KD and Kyrie want them, they're going to get them.
Me, I'm about to make a controversial statement. LeVert will ultimately be better than Paul George.
Wow.
Oh.
He will ultimately be better than Paul George. And he's going to benefit from those two being on the floor.
And they still got Dinwiddie there.
And they, coming off the bench.
Yeah.
You bring him off the bench. You can sit those two and run with Dinwiddie and LeVert, or you could start LeVert. You could have Dinwiddie and LeVert come off the bench and start Taurean Prince.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. And run with Jared Allen and DeAndre Jordan.
Yeah, I like Jared Allen a lot. That's why I didn't understand why they needed a DeAndre Jordan. I'd rather see Jared Allen in the starting lineup. But Kyrie wasn't done making headlines. This wasn't the only thing. This wasn't the only thing Kyrie said that was controversial and made people talk. When he was asked about who would take the game-winning shot with 10 seconds left on the clock, Irvin said, "Depends on who's hot." I don't see it as anything other than that. One thing I've always been comfortable with is I felt like I was the best option on every team I've played for down the stretch. This is the first time in my career where I can be like, that mother effer can make that shot too.
Okay, he had a Paul Pierce moment.
What the hell are you talking about, Kyrie?
He had a Paul Pierce moment. So there's part of me that's like, you misspoke. And then there's part of me that's like, I would expect you to say something like that.
Nah, he did not misspeak at all. He meant that, and that was a shot at LeBron.
So when I say he misspoke, he probably should have said other than when I played, and other than those.
But he didn't, and you know that there was some kind of static between them, because that's what ultimately led to him leaving again. Because it's just he didn't want to play with him.
Leaving, no. Would you have wanted?
No, I'm talking about Kyrie didn't want to play with LeBron either.
After LeBron left, would you have been, if you were Kyrie Irving, would you want to be stuck in Cleveland? Like look at Kevin Love. Look how unhappy Kevin Love is. I mean, he got that money, but competitively, he's unhappy. You see him when they play, he's getting into it with the coach. It was a game. He tried to throw the ball and, like, they wanted him to set the pick. And he went and set the pick and got the ball and like threw it at dude. Like, man, come on. Like, he's frustrated there in Cleveland. And I get it, because everybody left. And you're used to competing at a high level, and now you're here with Garland and Sexton and y'all losing.
So I think
I don't blame Kyrie for leaving.
And I think some of these comments were just basically to be a fluffer to KD. Like, you got your new teammate, you want to make him feel good. Yeah, I'm gonna build you up, big dog. Kyrie's an intelligent guy. He's an intelligent guy.
Really, we know like LeBron and KD are cool, but it's like that competitive cool. You know what I mean? So in the end, when we're talking about the two best players in the league right now, it's them two.
So LeBron, later on that Thursday after this podcast went viral, he had some subtle responses that I dig, because they were digs at Kyrie. And he said, we're not jealous of each other, speaking about him and AD. I think that's the big thing. In professional sports, you have guys that join forces. Two alpha males. That's what we'll call them. They get together and they talk about how dominant they can be and talk about how this is going to be this and that. And I believe jealousy creeps in a lot. And that is the absolute contrary of what we are. We know who we are. We know what we're about and what we want. Seriously, every single day on and off the floor for one another. We're just not jealous of one another. I think you align that with respect. I think sky's the limit. That's an absolute shot at Kyrie Irving.
Definitely.
And I think it's deserved too.
I mean, they're definitely playing mental chess, you know. But I'm gonna say I'm gonna bring it all back. And I don't know if anyone remembers. Does anybody remember Kyrie's initial response when LeBron said he was going back to Cleveland?
Not off the top of my head.
He didn't want him there. He did not want LeBron.
Yeah, he wants to be the lead dog. He does not want to play in anybody's shadow.
He said exactly. He said when LeBron first said he was coming back to Cleveland, his response was, "We don't need him."
So I mean, it's gonna be interesting watching him and KD join forces.
So watching him years later, I mean, say the madness that he's saying now, it makes total sense to me. That's why I said it's a Paul Pierce moment. It's like when Paul Pierce said he had a better career than D. Wade. You know, it's like that type of insanity is why they are as good as they are.
And this is the thing, though, too. If you're going to say what you say, mean it. Don't try to backpedal, because he did try to downplay it, saying, why must it always be why must it always be brother against brother?
Clean it up. Right.
Yeah. If I'm addressing anyone, I'll say their name. You created this, Kyrie. We're reacting to it. This is all brought on by you. So I don't feel.
Yeah, I think Richard Jefferson had the best response. Like, yo, you're saying it's clickbait, but y'all are you created the media. Like, you said it on a podcast, which is media. Like, you created this media, and now you're like mad at the media for running with it. But you created the content. So that's where the insanity comes in to me. Like, I'm like, bro, you said it. Like, deal with it now.
So two little things before we get out of here I want to bring up. I just saw it. Drew Holiday to the Denver Nuggets for Michael Porter Jr.
Ooh.
How do you like that? If they make that happen, Drew Holiday and Jamal Murray in the backcourt, I would trade MPJ for Drew Holiday.
In a heartbeat. Drew Holiday, go online.
He's one of my favorite players.
For any videos of players in the league talking about Drew Holiday.
He's one of my favorite underrated players of all time.
And that's what every player in the league said. They say they don't understand why he ain't an all-star. They all say he's the best defensive player, one of the best defensive players in the league. They're like, it is really hard to score on him. He can defend any position, you know, and that's kind of what, like, MPJ, you good offensively, but they Drew Holiday is both.
Yeah, he's one of the best two-way players in the league.
Yeah, he's up there with like Jimmy Butler to me.
For sure.
You know, so that's a yikes. And then, I wonder what they're gonna do with. I guess that's who we gonna move with it? Just MPJ or Will Barton?
There's a lot of people. There's talks that Milwaukee wants to get Drew Holiday. So Drew Holiday is a hot commodity on the trade market.
Are you guys worried? Are you be trading MPJ a little too early in his career? I mean, this is probably where his value is the highest, but what if he has another level to ascend to?
I would do the trade because the Nuggets are close to a championship. And I think Drew Holiday in the backcourt, Jamal Murray, with that defense, that might get him to the,
you
to the
talking
finals.
about Drew Holiday, Gary Harris. Gary Harris ain't no fluff on defense either.
You bring him off the bench, that's a great lift off your bench.
That way, Barton is good, but he stays hurt. So you can get somebody that's a little more durable, can still score like that, but also can play defense.
And I say you make this trade, you give Jeremy Grant what he wants, you keep him at the small forward. I think they're good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to give up something. I mean, as good as MPJ is and could be, you're gonna have to give up something. And I think he shot himself in the foot with those comments he made outside of the locker room in the playoffs. He wasn't wrong with what he was saying, but he was wrong when and where he said it.
Yeah, me and you are in a total agreement on that. So the last thing I want to cover is the 76ers hired a new head coach. And we all know who it is. It's Doc Rivers. I thought it was going to be Tyronn Lue because there was a lot of talk, but I think he's going to be the Clippers head coach because he was on that bench. I feel like Lue was going to get a job somewhere. I thought maybe for the Clippers it'd be him or Sam Cassell. We'll see who they hire. But this is my question for you. Because Doc signs a 5-year deal with the 76ers.
5 years?
Do you like this hiring?
They signed him for 5 years?
That's the agreement.
They're crazy. And I have to say, I have to give it to Doc. You got great negotiation skills. I mean, like I said earlier, I think Doc is a great players coach. I just don't know about X's and O's and motivation.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. I do not love this move. I think he, like you said, he manages well the players and stuff, but he got clearly out-coached by Malone in the Nuggets in that second round.
You've been out-coached. You have lost. That's not the first time you lost.
Take it back to 2015.
I'm saying, well, what has he done as a head coach other than that 1 year with Boston?
And let's talk about Boston. I'm so glad you brought that up because KG, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, and a young Rajon Rondo. I mean, come on, man. If you didn't win one, you probably would never coach again.
And they got back in 2010, but they did lose to Kobe and the Lakers.
I mean,
that was like probably one of the first iterations of a big three that we saw in the NBA. That was
the original big three, I think.
Yeah. That was the original, big three where they were healthy in their career. It wasn't like, when free agency kind of first kicked off and you had people like Scotty going to the Trailblazers and Barkley going to the Rockets, and they all on like one knee,
So we got to talk about 2015 though, where they were up 3-1 on the Rockets. Now, I don't know if you guys remember how the series went, but to get into the semis, they had to beat in the first round the Spurs. And if you remember, Chris Paul hit that game-winning shot. And then he was hurt for the first 2 games with a hamstring injury. And the Clippers were still up on the Rockets 3-1. Then the Rockets win Game 5. And then Game 6. It looks like the Clippers are going to close out the game, right? They're up big. I think it was 87-68. Kevin McHale decides to sit James Harden on the bench for the 4th. And the Rockets are led by Josh Smith and Corey Brewer.
Who?
And Corey Brewer is a college champion, man. He's part of the reason why Billy Donovan had a job.
Yeah, that was the Florida teams.
So Josh Smith and Corey Brewer brought him back to win that game, and then the Rockets went on to win that series. And that was an indictment on Doc Rivers.
Coaching.
X's and O's.
X's and O's. I mean, Kevin McHale. And then Kevin McHale, like, I'm done. He did the Larry Bird.
Yeah.
Fine. I'm done. Like, I can do it. You can see I can do it. Look how far I can go. But I'm good. I'm done.
And then we flash forward to this season. You acquire the talents of Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. You are the favorites going into the season to win the title. You make it to the Western Conference semifinals. You have a 3-1 lead on Jamal Murray and the Joker and the Young Nuggets team. And you find a way to lose again. Paul George comes up short, does his disappearing act. Both him and Kawhi have 0 points in the fourth quarter of Game 7. I don't understand how a team with so much talent could lose a series like that 3-1 when they were the favorites to win the title.
Yeah, I knew Doc was going to get fired. I said it. I'm looking at it like coaches. You're getting out coached by, the smartest thing, first of all, I don't know why he didn't do it earlier. I don't know why Mike Malone didn't put Jamal Murray at shooting guard. Yeah, he's a hybrid. He's kind of like an AI, like the hybrid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you need him to play aggressive like that. You don't need him to be a facilitator first and, play classic, pure point guard. No. If the pass is there, make it. But if not, man, get you some buckets.
To me, it's understandable why the Clippers ran out of patience for the doctor. But he's far from a coaching failure. I think he's a good coach. He's a player's coach, as you said. But 91 playoff wins. It's impressive. He's 7th all-time on the list. But this was just an epic failure and totally understandable why he lost his job.
Taylor Rooks was in the bubble reporting, and one thing she said on her Twitter feed that I remember was that she felt like Doc Rivers was one of the most important people that was inside of the bubble wasn't a player, because all of the players on every team, day in and day out, they all had conversations with Doc about social justice and, what's going on in the world. They were able to open up to him and talk to him. I think that's Doc Rivers right there in a nutshell. Like, he kind of summed him up to me. Like, yeah, that's who Doc Rivers is. So he needs a little help with some extra, just a little bit. You might need to. Tyronn Lue might not have been the guy to help.
Will he finish out his 5-year contract in Philly?
That's an Embiid.
Yeah.
If anyone can actually get Embiid to work hard, Embiid would be the best player in the league, hands down.
Yeah, because coming into the season, I would have took Embiid over Joker. Now I would take Joker over Embiid, just from what we've seen from Embiid and what I've seen from Joker. That's my personal opinion. I think Embiid could be more talented than Nikola, but just from what I've seen Nikola do on a big stage like that, that's been very impressive to me. I moved him up in my top 10 players in the league right now.
I knew he was going to be a problem this season when he came in 15 pounds lighter. He took it serious. Embiid is still hitting Chick-fil-A, getting chicken sandwiches in like 7 states. It's why throughout the season you stay hurt. You have to really play that game. You have the talent and you have the physical stature, but you need the conditioning and the strength and the durability to be able to play all 82 games.
Yeah, it's like they say like making a commitment to excellence, and the reports are like someone like LeBron, he's in year 17, but he spends over about $1.5 million a year just on his body. And we can certainly assure that Embiid ain't spending that money on his body.
No, man, come on, no. And look at Miami. You know how Miami got as far as they did? They said in the off season, these dudes did 4 a.m. workouts like damn near every day.
That was probably Jimmy Butler's
together. They did that together. That's why they are where they are.
Yeah.
It's a commitment. Embiid's not committing like that, and I don't know if there's anyone, I don't know who can get through to him like that. He seemed to like Jimmy a lot, and maybe Jimmy could have got through to him, but, Philly didn't. Philly chose Brett Brown and Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, well, Philly did a lot of stupid things by letting J.J. Redick go and getting rid of their perimeter shooting.
Yep.
And they signed
Embiid and J.J. Redick talked about that on J.J. Redick's podcast.
Yep.
Embiid missed J.J. Redick. He said it on there, man. I missed you. I'm mad at you that you left. It's all your fault.
Yeah, Embiid is he's a superstar waiting to break out. He just needs someone to help him get out of his bubble. You know what I mean? And
yeah, hopefully he got to get out of his own way. He's the only one that's in his way. It's him. There's no one that can stop Embiid except for Embiid.
I totally agree. And Race, we're gonna let you get out of here, get on with your day. I know there's a lot of football going on. You got any games that you're looking forward to?
Man, I'm hoping this KC New England game plays because I got the rookie. I got Hilaire in a fantasy league, and I'm 1-2.
Isn't it postponed or no?
They're saying Monday now. Schefter came out earlier today and said they moved it to Monday. It's going to be played Monday for right now. No more positive. Everyone was negative. I think it was a quarterback from the practice squad on KC that tested positive.
I didn't even hear that.
I think Cam's was a false positive, they said, or something.
Oh, Cam's good?
I think so.
I'm gonna have to look into that because I definitely want to watch Cam versus
Well,
Mahomes.
it was the Saints player that was a false positive.
Oh, okay.
Cam is on the COVID reserve list. I don't know what Cam is doing, but Cam better get it together because the hoodie will smile in your face and cut your ass. So.
Man, but could you imagine the optic? You're like, I cut him because he caught COVID. I don't know about that one.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying that he would. That would be the reason, but they run a tight-knit ship over there.
I've seen reports that the hoodie might be looking at one Mitchell Trubisky. He might be calling the Chicago Bears up and asking about the trade possibility of Mitchell Trubisky. Did you hear about that?
All right, let us get Stidham then.
Oh,
give us Jared.
Sure.
Give us Jared Stidham. We'll take him. He can't be much worse than Trubisky, and he can pick up Foles. Take him.
Okay. Well,
take him. I mean, maybe Belichick can run plays. I mean, in Trubisky's defense, first let me say this. At the draft, I screamed at the TV. I was like, what is Chicago doing?
I think we all did.
But, with any team, you got to play to your player's strength. Trubisky's not accurate.
Kind of hard. That's probably one of the top requirements from a quarterback position.
It is, but I mean, you better get him in a figure something out. Y'all, you gave up a first round pick to move up to get him.
Yeah, and they haven't run a
sample.
And I was thinking
the sample disc was small of what he could do. Like he played like one season.
Yeah, and I was thinking today, literally was driving earlier, and I was like, yes, Ryan Pace has done a good job of filling out the roster and making some excellent moves late, and especially in the 4th round and even later in the 5th. He's found some gems, some really good players, but I'm like, this is such a big blunder of handling the quarterback situation. I almost feel like you don't get another chance, another bite at the apple of trying to draft another quarterback because you shouldn't. You messed up so bad that you should not get another opportunity to draft another quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, it's hindsight. Because no one knew that. I mean, we knew Mahomes was going to be good. We didn't know he was going to be that good.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't. No way to know.
I'll never get mad at the Bears for not drafting Mahomes because there was a lot of people that didn't know. Like you saw it, and there was a lot of Brett Favre in them. But the sure, simple pick when the guy's coach comes out and says he's going to be the next Michael Jordan if you don't take him.
The decorated quarterback.
You take the decorated quarterback that we've all saw in 2 big national title games go against the big bad wolf, Alabama.
I mean,
you don't even sit down with him? Come on, man.
Deshaun Watson.
Yes.
No.
Who just got paid, by the way.
Hey, in hindsight, the Bears were smart. They saved themselves about $400 million.
That's probably exactly how they're looking at it, too.
Well, Race, I really appreciate you taking your time, man. Like, it's been a lot of fun talking basketball, a little bit of football. We got to do it again. Before you get out of here, and before we close out the show, can you let the people know where they can find you again?
Look up Race Bannon on Facebook. I think I'm Race Bannon on IG.
I think you are too. Race Bannon on IG.
At Race Pack on Twitter. If you put in Super Sound, Super with an A, you can find music that we put out recently and keep up with all upcoming releases coming out. Also be on the lookout for the Prime Diesel coming out on Culture Power 45 on vinyl with Prime Meridian and Rashid Hadi. That's all I got for right now.
Keep hitting him with that work, man.
Yeah, he's working, man.
Man, I appreciate y'all, man. I saw y'all working too, man. You know, it's inspiring.
Yeah, man. I've always said can't make no money sleeping. So
thanks a lot, Race.
Man, I appreciate y'all having me on the show and just giving me the opportunity to talk about one of my favorite things is basketball. Well, of course, but basketball is like one of my favorites. So. Yeah.
We definitely appreciate you taking your time out and chop it up with us. And this was episode 9 of the All Net Podcast. And Race Bannon was our guest. And we want to thank you once again and have a great day. Enjoy your Sunday.
You too, man. And good luck if any of y'all fantasy leagues out there. And hopefully the NFL will get it together so they have a full season. It's not looking good right now.
We appreciate you, man. Take it easy.
All right. You too.
Yes, that was Race Bannon, and that is going to do it for episode 9 of the All Net Podcast with myself and my good buddy, my best friend, I.Deal. I.Deal, you got any closing words before we get out of here?
See you for episode 10. Maybe we're celebrating a Miami Heat championship.
Lakers Nation, I'll be celebrating with you very shortly. Everybody out there, enjoy your day. Shout out to True Chicago sports fans and Chi Native, baby. We'll catch you on the next episode. Swish.